good evening, and welcome once again to another edition of our Government at Work program. A program brought to you by the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration and hosted by yours truly, Keith Scarborough. It's a program designed to inform and educate all citizens and residents of Nevis, both at home and abroad, of the many positive developments that are taking place here on the island of Nevis. It's another wonderful Thursday evening here in Nevis, and it's a time when we all look forward to a night filled with information as it pertains to the continued good governance of the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration. We therefore look forward each week to go deep into discussions with the ministers of government, the advisors, the permanent secretaries, the department heads, as well as top officials from the various statutory corporations here on the island of Nevis. We are aware, of course, that there are those who prefer to indulge in their own creative negatives, but on this program we make every effort to ask the right questions, to get the right answers that would give our listeners and viewers a true reflection of what is really happening in the land that we all call home. This program, I remind you, is broadcast live on VON Radio every Thursday evening from 8 to 9:30 p.m. Then we broadcast on Nevis Television on Sunday evenings from 8:30 p.m. This and other Government at Work programs, as well as our Bird's Eye View program, can also be seen on Facebook, YouTube, and the NTV web page. We shall take a short break, and when I return, I shall introduce my guest for this evening program to you. So stay locked down to the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio 860 AM.
So rise, St. Thomas is rise, St. James is put together and build your land. Rise, St. George's and St. Paul's together with St. John's. This land is enough for all to share. No reason to leave and go nowhere. Foreigners can come here from America and England. There is something mighty sweet about my land. And if the foreigners who live here can insist that it's here they're from, then I swear I'll never leave my native land. One people, one country.
Welcome back. Folks, I am pleased to have as my guest this evening Senator and Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly and Special Advisor to the Premier, the Honorable Mark A.G. Brantley, Miss Latoya Bianca Jones. Latoya, good evening and welcome to our Government at Work program.
Good night, Mr. Scarborough, and I'm happy to be here on Government at Work. It is my first time, and so I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion. But I would also like to wish everyone who tune in a good night. Welcome.
Well, Latoya, we are pleased to have you, and since this is your first time on this program, I want to wish you a very special welcome and to say to you that it is a pleasure having you as my guest this evening.
Thank you.
Did you get a chance to take in some of the Agro Fest today?
Not today, but I intend to go tomorrow.
Okay,
Yes,
great.
tomorrow.
Right. Well, we have quite a lot to get into this evening, so let's get straight into it. And I want to start our discussion this evening looking at your federal responsibilities, especially as a Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament, because that's a huge responsibility for anyone to carry and one that all Nevisians should be proud of. Let me start with this. The Honorable A. Michael Perkins was the Speaker in the National Assembly for almost 7 years. And he is a Nevisian. Did you reach out to him at all regarding the responsibility that's come with this role as Deputy Speaker?
Yes, I did reach out to the Honorable Michael Perkins, and I must say that he has been quite welcoming and supportive. He assured me that whatever concerns or issues that I have, call him. Do not hesitate to call him. Call him, and he's going to make himself available to assist me. So I really do appreciate that from Honorable Michael Perkins. I don't know if he knows, but I'm going to say tonight. I used to sit and watch past parliamentary sittings that Honorable Michael Perkins presided over.
Okay.
I don't think he knows, but he knows now.
Yeah.
And so he assisted me greatly in preparing to carry out my task as Deputy Speaker. National Assembly.
That's so good to hear. That's so good to hear. Did you receive any kind of training at all for the position before presiding over your first sitting as a Deputy Speaker of the National Parliament, aside from A. Michael Perkins?
I didn't receive like an official training before my first sitting, but I had to ensure that I was prepared for the sitting. And so, like I mentioned before, I used to watch past parliamentary sitting, not just with Honorable Michael Perkins presiding, but others as well. And then I ensure that I familiarized myself. I became one-on-one with the standing orders, because that governs the operations of Parliament. So I had to know the rules and the regulations. I received information and guidance from someone who advises me, as well as pertinent information from the clerk, Ms. Trevelyan Stapleton, and all of that helped to prepare me for my first sitting in a National Assembly.
Okay, great. Now, what was it like actually presiding over the National Assembly sitting in the Speaker's chair for the very first time? Share that experience with us.
I am going to be so honest with you. I had mixed emotions. Honestly, I was nervous.
As expected.
I felt proud, sad, and a sense of gratitude at the same time. And I'm going to try and explain a bit from each how I felt. Nervous because it was my first time.
Yes.
As you said before, it's a huge task.
Yes.
And it was my first time, and I'm thinking to myself, I want to do well. I don't want to make mistakes. Not that mistakes are bad, because sometimes mistakes are necessary for you to learn.
Yes.
But I wanted to be able to execute my duties to the best of my ability and to do a good job. So I was nervous when before the sitting, and when I sat in the chair, I just kept telling myself, relax. Relax. It is normal for you to feel how you feel. Proud because as a little girl, I used to watch the sitting of Parliament with my great-grandmother, Mrs. Dewberry. Anyone who knows that she was into news, she was into politics, she watched assembly. So sometime as a child, I didn't have a choice. And you're sitting there and you're looking at what I would say then, what I call them was politicians. And you're sitting there and saying to yourself, one day, I hope to be there. One day I hope to sit in that chair. And then to see it all suddenly coming around, and you're looking at yourself and you're saying, but wait, I am sitting in the chair. It was indeed a humbling but proud moment for me. And I'm truly grateful for the opportunity. I felt sad because my great-grandmother was not there to see me. But, she passed away a few years ago. She was the closest person to me, and everything I've done in my life was to make her proud. So I felt a bit of sadness, but my family supported me. And so I was able to deal with it, think of her being with me, so forth. Gratitude. I am so grateful for the opportunity to serve my country in the capacity as Senator and Deputy Speaker in the National Assembly of St. Kitts and Nevis. I wish to take this opportunity to thank the Leader of the Opposition, members on the opposite side, also members on the government side who have supported me on this journey. Like you said, it's a huge task, and it takes as much support as one can get. And so I'm grateful to everyone who would have assisted, who have reached out, even those who have critiqued. You have made me stronger. And so I'm appreciative. But that is how I felt. It was just mixed emotions. Mixed emotions.
Fully understand that. Fully understand that. I remember when the Premier was appointed Premier the first time in 2017, he had a similar sentiment because, both his mother and father had passed, and he really wished that they were there to see him. So you're not alone. There are many persons who was like that, but thanks for that. Now, since becoming Deputy Speaker, you would have traveled abroad to attend parliamentary conferences or seminars, whatever they're called. So shed some light on those travels for us. Where did you travel to, for how long, and what was the purpose really of those trips aboard? Share that experience with our listeners.
So I will try and remember.
You don't have to do all. Just give us a...
But I've traveled to Canada, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I've traveled to London. I'll provide some insight. I'm just trying to remember. I've traveled to St. Lucia, Barbados, and we did do a trip to Taiwan. Forgive me. For Canada was the first training. I recall, but before we journeyed to Canada, it was Honorable Speaker Lanine Blanchard and myself who attended that training session. We had to do a beginner's training session online. So we had to do an online course, sit an exam pass, and then we went to Alberta, Canada. I think there were over 35 participants in Alberta. It was a professional development skills training workshop. We did leadership skills, we did communication skills, speech writing, presentation of speeches, campaigns. Now, what I remember from that session was we had to write a speech in an allotted time, of course, and then we had to present it in the Legislative Assembly of Alberta with the speaker, Mr. Cooper. I think it's Nathan Cooper. And we had to do it based on what the skills that we learned from the workshop. So we did postures, eye contact, voice modulation. When writing your speech, use certain verbs, use stress on certain points, and a repetition. That's when I knew repetition is good. I often listened to politicians from before, and I realized they repeated themselves a lot. And part of me kept wondering, why are you repeating yourself so much? But I've learned now that repetition is good in your presentation, not excessively, but
it enforces the point.
Yes, exactly. So that was good. I can't remember the theme I wrote on, but I know we went to the assembly and we had to present in front of other jurisdictions, and then the speaker would share his views on the presentation. And that to me really helped to prepare me or add to the training that I've been receiving or the guidance that I've been receiving. It was really training well done. And so I had a good experience. Also, we traveled to London. It was a Westminster seminar. It was a training on, I'm just trying to remember as we go along, effective parliamentary practices. We were able to share our experience and learn from the experiences of, I think it was 64 participants at that seminar. And one of the highlights for me was we were given the opportunity to see Parliament in action. It was the Prime Minister's question and answer session, and we were able to go to the House of Commons, because in London they have House of Commons, House of Lords. They're bicameral, we're unicameral. And so the group was kind of split up. I had the opportunity to be the guest of the speaker, so that was kind of nice. We were seated on the higher level upstairs, but it was closer. So you get to see the exchange between the Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, as well as other parliamentarians. I must say it wasn't rowdy. The speaker held his ground. He executed his duties, and it was really a good experience to see that on a larger scale. So that was my experience I share with those two with you.
Great. Now you probably you would have seen and attended other parliamentary sitting across the region, and you just mentioned some that you did in Canada and England and stuff like that. How do they compare to our own parliamentary sittings here in the Federation? Meaning, are they more quiet, more rowdy? Do they use the same headway that our speaker used in local and national parliament? Enlighten us.
I think in Canada they had similar headway and London. But I think it was my trip in London where I was able to see Parliament in action. Now, I have watched videos of other parliaments.
It was very rowdy.
Throughout, the world, and I must say some of them really, it's a bit much, too much if you ask me. And our parliament has not reflected the level of that behavior of what I've seen from watching videos from other parliament. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes yes, we get a little, but with myself and the speaker, we would pull you back.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, how has the training you received helped you in your own development as a deputy speaker in the National Assembly?
I have gained the knowledge and skill set to effectively and efficiently exercise my duties. I know deputizing has helped me to understand the rules of Parliament, the operations of Parliament, the roles of not only the deputy speaker but the speaker, parliamentarians. So it has put me in a better position where I could one day possibly become the speaker because I'm aware and knowledgeable of the information already.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Now, you deputize only when the Madam Speaker has stepped away from the National Parliament. So let me ask you this. What's the relationship like between yourself and the Madam Speaker?
Honorable Lanine Blanchett and I must say we have a very good working relationship. We communicate very well. If there are any issues or concerns, she doesn't hesitate to reach out and brief me of those. If she is going to be absent or she's ill, she would inform me before and we would plan accordingly for the sitting. What I like and respect about her too is her inclusivity. She has ensured that I have been a part of training opportunities that has come to Parliament for parliamentarians to participate in, and I do want to express gratitude to her for that. I support her, she supports me, and to be honest, it's extended to the parliamentary staff. We have a very good working relationship.
Okay.
So I am happy for that. So far, so good. And we hope to keep it that way.
Okay, great. Now, when a date is being set for the sitting of National Parliament, do you meet with the Madam Speaker to help plan for the upcoming sitting, or you just attend the sitting in your capacity as a senator?
In most cases, I just attend in my capacity as a senator. Like I said, if she's absent or ill, then I would have to preside. So I would have to, we'll plan in advance.
Okay.
But most time I attend as senator, and we would meet. We meet the morning of Parliament. So I will go to her office. We have a sit down.
Okay.
Any changes, anything that, like any resolution, anything, she would inform me.
Okay.
If I have any information, I would also disclose to her. And then, we begin the session.
Okay, great. Is there an actual office in place for the Speaker of the National Assembly, or no?
There's an office space for the Speaker,
I keep wondering.
No, there's an office space for the Speaker. There's an office space for the Deputy Clerk and the Clerk as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Now, does the Speaker has any say in the tabling of bills? For example, which bills are tabled, which bills are not, or that is left primarily up to the Cabinet itself?
No, the Speaker doesn't decide which bills come, which are tabled and which are not tabled. That is, I would say, left up to parliamentarians, primarily on the government side. And I say that because parliamentarians on the opposition side can table bills.
I know.
A lot of people are not aware because it is our practice, it's the norm for us to just have bills being tabled by the government side. So I just wanted to add that.
All right, thanks for that info. Now, how has deputizing as a speaker in the National Assembly prepared you for perhaps one day becoming Speaker of the National Assembly yourself, or better yet, a full member of National Parliament, not just a senator, but a full minister?
I think, well, as I said before, I've gained the knowledge and skills to function in the capacity. I do understand the rules, the roles. I've become familiar with the standing orders which governs the assembly. So it really makes it not difficult.
Not difficult. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, how difficult has it been for you, especially when you had to lay down the gavel to instill discipline in the National Parliament? Because as you're aware, sometimes the arguments gets out of hand and you are literally forced to make an uncomfortable ruling, especially if it is against someone sitting on the government benches. How difficult is that?
That is a good question. I must say it has not been difficult for me. And the reason for that is I see all parliamentarians as the same, whether they're sitting on the opposition benches or the government side. For me, I abide by the standing orders, which are the rules. And if you don't comply with the rules, then I have the right to exercise the disciplinary actions that I see fit in my capacity. And so for me, no, there's no difficulty, and I'm not afraid to take action against anyone. I'm in the assembly if I have to.
Okay, great. Good to know. Now, as a senator, you are also expected to make your own presentation on bills that comes to the National Parliament. What has that experience been like, especially your first presentation in the National Parliament? Share that experience with us.
Okay. I would say it's fairly good. In a sense where you have to research to do your presentation.
Yes.
Presenting, like anything, you tend to get nervous, but you compose yourself and you just present the information based on your research. However, I think for me, the issue stems from the time to prepare for the presentation. Because at the assembly, you're given 7 days notice when we're going to have the assembly, but then you only receive the order paper with the bills 2 days before the sitting of the assembly. So you have to prepare within that allotted time. It is something that we've discussed as parliamentarians, and it's something that we will look at, but that is the only thing for me in terms of having more time. To me, the more time that you have, it enhances the level of debate.
True.
You're able to do a lot more research. You're able to make a substantial debate. And so for me, that is the only thing. But in terms of presenting, I do my best. Each time I try to do better than the first time. You go back, you watch your videos, see how you've done. I don't do it all the time, and like I said, I do have persons who offer constructive criticism, and I take them very well. I act on them, and then I try to improve as I go along.
Great. Now, there was some talk coming from the previous administration about building a brand new National Assembly elsewhere. Do you know if the Jew-led administration intends to follow through with that idea, or have you heard any talk of that?
There have been discussions about it, and to be honest, I can't wait for it to happen. I really cannot wait for it to happen. The reality is the current location of the National Assembly, the space is limited.
Yes.
It is very limited. And for me, National Assembly, it's more than just having coming for parliamentary sitting. So for me, the gallery, you've been to the gallery, you've recognized
several times.
Yes, it's small. If we have multiple groups, because the public can come to National Assembly to see the parliamentary sitting. If you have groups coming from school, say multiple groups want to come, where are you going to put the students? Not only that, Parliament to me is about history, and in other parliaments, based on the training that I received, they have information pertaining to, past parliamentarians, highlighting different stuff about your country. So I would like to see that at our National Assembly. There are also library.
Yes.
In London, I was amazed at how big their library is. And not only that, but office space, not just for the government side, but for the opposition side.
Okay.
What I've witnessed through training is that parliamentarians on opposite side, government side, they have their own space. So they go, they do their research, they have persons to assist them. And so that is what we need in our National Assembly. So I support the new building, and I hope it could happen sooner rather than later. I'm truly
I hear you.
ready for that.
Okay, great. Now, I want to bring you closer to home now and focus your attention on your position as Special Advisor to the Premier of Nevis. First, could you tell our listeners and viewers where your office is located, actually?
Forgive me, my office is located at Springgates Building, Government Road. That's on the opposite side of Hunkins Funeral Home. It's upstairs, Unit 2. You would see the numbers at the side of the door. I share office space with Honorable Alexis Jeffers. He too is a special advisor to the Premier on the expansion project for the airport.
Okay. Do you work alone, or there's other staff members with you?
Well, for me, in terms of organizing and doing what I do it by myself.
Okay,
yes.
Great. Now,
but I share office space with him.
Okay, great. Now tell us a little about your responsibilities as Special Advisor to the Premier.
So, I'm a Special Advisor to the Premier on community matters.
Yes, I forgot
Which
that part.
means, no, it's okay. Which means I engage the community, be it schools, organizations, I go to villages, visit, and it's to come up with initiatives and projects that would help to develop our community. Also, it's to bring concerns and issues to the attention of the Premier. And I want to highlight this. Yes, it is for all of Nevis, but I focus a lot on St. Thomas's, and I want to explain that. St. Thomas Parish does not have a representative in cabinet, and cabinet is where the decisions are made.
True.
For the Nevis Island Administration. And so that is why, even though my duties extend island-wide, I focus a lot on bringing the issues and concerns, the ideas and projects forward for St. Thomas's Parish. So I really wanted to stress that so people understand the reason we do not have, and I'm from St. Thomas's Parish, so I would say we do not have representation in cabinet.
True. Let's hope we rectify that soon.
Yes, and remember, we did not have representation for a long time. When all the other constituency had representatives, we
were still left out in the cold.
We still don't have, but it is my, I will continue to advocate.
Okay, great.
On their behalf, and also, like I said, island-wide. Any issues or concerns, I'm open to hearing from anyone. You know where my office is. You're free to visit me. You're free to contact me. Whatever I can do to assist, I am going to do to help.
Okay, great. Now, as a special advisor, do you attend cabinet meetings from time to time? Or?
No.
No, you're not allowed. Okay. As an advisor, to the Premier, do you liaise with other ministers of the government as well to work on projects and other initiatives, or you just serve as the community development?
To the Premier? Honestly, I liaise and I work with other ministers of government.
Okay.
I know I am special advisor to the Premier of Nevis. However, I also have good working relationship with the other ministers of the Nevis Island Administration. In terms of project, I just want to give an example. Like yesterday, we hosted Premier's Ministry.
Well, coming to that.
Yes, I won't shed too much light on it. I just want to draw several examples. We hosted the Women's Self-Empowerment Workshop, and then you have Honorable Minister Nisbet, Honorable Senator Nisbet, who I've invited. We've discussed the project, and we work hand in hand with the gender department. So over the years, excuse me, sorry, when we host the Women's Self-Empowerment Workshop, we would provide information on participants, contact information to the gender department. So we work hand in hand. That's an example.
Yes.
Another one I want to highlight is like in terms of projects and working with other ministers. So the speed bumps in Westbury, the wall in Cotton Ground, what we call the Banja Road in Cahoons. I did a project where we painted all the speed bumps and pedestrian crossing throughout the island at one time. I had to liaise with the Honorable Spencer Brad to do this project. Don't get me wrong, the Premier is aware, but I liaise with them also to get the project done.
True.
So I just wanted to add that.
Good, got you. Now, you alluded to it a little while ago, but you have been working closely with the young people right across the island of Nevis. And last evening, you hosted a women's self-empowerment workshop at the MGR Park under the theme for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment. Tell us a little about that event, how it unfolded, and the real purpose of it.
Okay, so to go back, the Women's Self-Empowerment Workshop was initiated and organized to bring women together to celebrate women. Because remember, this is Women's Month.
Yes.
International Women's Month.
Yes.
And the thought came about because I realized we have International Women's Month, and I was like, it would be good to bring women together. Different career fields, those women who are disenfranchised, unemployed, just a very diverse group of women to discuss issues affecting women and to find possible solutions to addressing those problems. And so this year was the 5th annual Women's Self-Empowerment Workshop. Time flies. Over the past 4 years, if my memory serves right, we had, I think, 103 participants. And then this year yesterday we had about 38. Now, this year was slightly different to previous years because this year we included the participation of girls.
Of girls, okay.
So we selected 18 women from across the island in different career fields. And we, through the Ministry of Education, we invited girls from the 3 high schools, forms 1 to 4, in similar career fields as the women.
Okay.
So the idea behind it too is to create a mentorship program for these girls. So it's not just for the workshop alone, but after the workshop, it is our goal that we women remain in contact with the girls and we help to guide them, answer their questions, just be a support system to them. So that was the idea behind that this initiative for this year.
Okay, great. You mentioned it is the 5th anniversary. Was this an initiative of yours or the NIA itself?
It's an initiative. I won't say, let me be careful. I came up with the idea,
Okay.
but it is a government
Yes,
initiative.
I know.
So I want to make that clear. The thing is, I do so many projects, I have
Yes.
to try and ensure that I differentiate between them because, I operate in different capacities. So our facilitator, I think I forgot to mention, was Dr.
That was my next question.
apologize.
The featured speaker, I understand, was the Dr. Curtis Clark.
Yes, Dr. Curtis Clark.
Yeah.
Prior to, we've had Dr. Linda Carty. She started with us. She was there for a few years, and I want to thank Dr. Carty for her contribution. She certainly made the workshop what it is today,
Yes.
along with the facilitators this year. We also had other presenters. I think it was Stacey Paris and Shanika Jeffers as well.
Okay. Now you have a tendency of working closely with women. Over the past years, you have been honoring the women of St. Thomas's in particular. Tell us the whole gist behind you and honoring your fellow women, so to speak. I think it's a good thing that you're doing to bring your fellow women forward, so to speak, and you have been doing a good job on that over the years. Where does the inspiration for that comes from?
I think for me, I try to focus on empowering people as much as I can, and I really want us as women to empower each other. I do try to involve a lot of women and youth, especially in a lot of the initiatives that we have. Not saying that I should exclude the men, because men do partake in some initiative, but I do hope to have initiative that are in the interests of developing and assisting our men, especially our young men. But for the women, like I said, I enjoy bringing them together. This is not in my capacity as special advisor, but you did ask.
Yes.
And I usually host for Mother's Day. I bring the women, mothers of St. Thomas's together. And it's a luncheon, and it's very nice. It's elegant. You make them feel love, you welcome them, and you show appreciation, because it is not easy being a mother.
I know.
A parent.
Well, I shouldn't say I know. I heard so.
Yes. It's not easy being a parent, and sometimes persons just want to be shown love, but it helps to bring community.
Yes.
It helps to enhance community spirit, and that is what I really like to do. I mean, some people may say, oh, these things will make a difference. They actually do. People feel appreciated.
Yes.
And people feel loved.
Yes.
People feel supported. And that is why I really try. That's where my inspiration comes from. People.
Great.
My inspiration comes from people.
Okay. Now, as I said a while ago, you have been working closely with a number of young men and women across the island of Nevis. Tell us a little more about some of the work that you would have done on behalf of those youths, especially in the parish of St. Thomas's.
Okay.
I know you did a lot of projects. Speak to us about some of them.
I'm trying to remember as much as I can. Okay, in terms of youth development, I'm going to start, I know, but I'm going to start island-wide first.
Yes.
So, in my capacity as special advisor to the Premier, I've organized what started as a youth forum, say it's a youth summit. The idea came about because I recognized that our youth, they deserve for their voice to be heard. And sometimes they only see our leaders, maybe in passing, they might hear them on the radio, they might see them, at certain functions, but they do not get sometimes that really one-on-one with them where they can exercise or speak freely and hear their views and concerns. So that's how the idea came about, a forum where our youth can engage our leaders.
Okay, great.
So they would meet with them. Initially we started using groups, youth groups, various groups, whether sports groups, church groups, performing arts group, you name it. I think then we had 37 participants when we started. And we opened the floor. The ministers were there. They shed light on initiatives and projects that would benefit the youth. And the youth, they shared their issues, concerns, as well as ideas. It's not just about sharing issues and concerns, but it's sharing ideas on how we, meaning youth and the government, can work together to develop our youth.
Yes.
In terms of St. Thomas says, I've organized the St. Thomas Parish Youth Excellence Awards.
Yes.
That is geared to recognizing and awarding our youth for their sterling contribution that they make to their community and to their island.
Very good initiative.
So that has been going for several years as well, and I'm appreciative that we have reached so far. So I want to thank everyone who's contributed to the success of these initiatives. But I must say we choose youth from different areas. We've had agriculture, we've had education, volunteerism. Our youth, they want to feel a part.
Right.
And they too want to feel love. Sometimes we as a society, we get down on our youth. Sometimes we're a bit harsh towards them. I'm not saying everything that we do, because I wonder if I'm considered youth still. I think so.
You're still a youth.
But we need to show more love to our youth than just criticism. So I try to do what I can do to help to develop, our youth. So for the St. Thomas Parish Youth Excellence Awards, we would have the biographies of each awardee shared on social media with images from the area that they're being awarded for. And then we would have a get-together, ceremony and dinner. And the youth, they also get to network. Their parents are there, government officials are there, supporters are there, and so they feel a sense of love, and they've also shown their gratitude.
Okay.
And I think that is what our young people need, more love.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Now, you would have toured the various schools on March 11th with the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister responsible for education in Nevis, Mr. Troy Lai. But tell us a little about that tour, that school tour that you did, and share that experience with us.
It was a good experience. It was to address the crime and violence situation in our country. And we all know what we've been through in St. Kitts Nevis. I don't think I have to speak on that. But it was nice to see that the schools got together and they prepared programs. They did, poems, they did dance, they did songs, and they had a good time.
Okay.
While receiving, motivational messages from leaders. And I think it was really good visiting. We visited the Charlestown Secondary School, the Ivor Walters Primary School, and we also visited the Cicely Brown Integrated School.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what are some of the goals that you would have set yourself for 2025 while working in the best interest, of course, of all the youths on the island of Nevis?
For me, in terms of goals for this year, I do want to continue the programs that I'm doing, and I want to organize new programs that would assist with the development of our youth. I think for some of the events, for example, like the Youth Summit, I'm considering this year, we usually have, like last year we had about 80 participants, the year before 80 participants. I'm thinking of perhaps opening up and allowing just young persons from the public to register, as opposed to us, identifying and choosing from schools and choosing. It's to give the opportunity. As I mentioned before, I also want to create a program for our men, especially our young men.
Okay.
I know over the years many have reached out to me and said, "Well, Latoya, we want a program to like how we do the women's month, the women's self-empowerment workshop. Well, we want something for us too."
Okay.
And so this year I'm looking to do something for our young men.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Folks, you're listening to Government at Work. My guest this evening is the Honorable Latoya Bianca Jones. We shall take a short break, and when we return, we shall continue with our discussions here on Government at Work.
So right, St. Thomas is right, St. James is put together and build your land. Right, St. George's and St. Paul's together with St. John's. This land is enough for all to share. No reason to leave and go nowhere. Foreigners can come here from America and England. There is something mighty sweet about my land. And if the foreigners who live here can insist that it's here they're from, then I swear I'll never leave my native land. One people, one country.
Welcome back. Latoya, I know you had a number of things that you would have done, and you mentioned some of it. Tell us a little bit more of the others that you do. 'Cause I know you did a lot more than that.
In terms of projects?
Yes.
Any specific?
Not really, just enlighten us as to other things that you would have done.
In terms of island-wide projects, we've done a lot of training. So we've also done the customer service skills training.
Right.
We've done training for businesses. We've done the financial management workshop as well. We have targeted businesses. It was really organized for youth. And so, yes, those were initiatives that I've done in my capacity as special advisor. There are other initiatives I've done for the youth of St. Thomas, and I know you asked me that question earlier. I did mention the St. Thomas Parish Youth Excellence Awards. I usually sponsor youth, whether for business or for school. I know at the St. Thomas Primary.
Yes.
I sponsor 2 children each school year for lunch. I've organized games and tournaments that would bring the young people of St. Thomas's together, and stuff of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Now, I want to take you into a different field. I want to turn your attention now to athletics. We are nearing the end of the 2025 athletics season, but since you were one of our top athletes in your time, both at the primary school level and the high school level, and even after you left school, however, in those days we did not have the athletic stadium nor the Mundo track. So I want to talk to you firstly about the CCM-led Nevis Island Administration foresight to build that athletic stadium for our athletes. Your thoughts on that?
It's a significant investment in our youth. Building that. Well, Nevis Athletic Stadium, the Mundo track. For me, as an athlete, well, in my time, we prayed for track. No, I'm not kidding. Sometimes we cry because that is how badly we wanted a track. And to see that the track has been constructed and our young people are utilizing it, it really gives me a good feeling. Even though I hoped it was in my time, it is still a good feeling. It shows that this administration is serious when it comes to investing in our youth.
Right.
And so I applaud that.
Okay, great.
Really
Now,
good.
since the laying of the Mundo track, like you mentioned, the interest in athletics has taken on a more professional role. We are seeing better coaching, better times being run. You were a good athlete in your time, but you did not get the chance to run on the Mundo track. Like you say, you cried and you begged for it, you plead. If you had that chance, how far do you think you would have reached in your athletic career and with your athletic ability? If you had that
Perhaps
chance.
at the Olympics, I would say.
The Olympics.
No, seriously, that was my goal to make it to the Olympics. Unfortunately, I developed injuries. I tore both of my hamstrings.
Oh, really?
During the inter-high school championship. It was at the Bastia High School then. But what people don't recognize is that the material used for the Mondo track, it lessens the impact on your joints and your muscles, which reduces injuries for athletes. And that is one of the number one issues that athletes had in the past, injury. I think perhaps if we had the track, you never know. I mean, you never know. The Olympic was my
that was
dream.
your dream?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, apart from being an athlete, you were also a part of the Federal Athletic Association for some time under then President Val Henry. Have you given any consideration at all to perhaps lending your expertise to help improve track and field here in your homeland?
Certainly. Everyone knows I'm open to assist in any way that I can. But I must say, under the leadership of Val Henry, we did a good job. What I liked about it was the inclusivity of Nevis compared to prior years. It was the first time in history I know so many Nevisians to serve on the executive. It was myself, Mr. Sherman Cades, and Marissa Williams, the Honorary from Nevis. And we served on the executive at the time. We had more development meets taking place in Nevis. Not only that, for the first time in history, we had club championship and national championship in Nevis during that
Your time?
Yes, during our time. And I think also for the enterprise, the golf insurance, during that time we brought over equipment from Nevis to assist with the sports. So it was a good experience. And even though I'm not a member of the executive at this time, members of the executive, I am willing to assist in whatever way
I'm happy you
that
say
I
that.
can.
I'm happy you say that.
I think there was a gender forum. I was contacted by the President Delwyn, I think it was last year, if my memory serves. And I had to speak to, I was a featured speaker to girls, female athletes.
Okay, great.
At that forum. So I'm willing to lend my support.
Great. Now, in your time as an athlete, points were awarded for positions. Today we are seeing medals being awarded and deciding who the overall winners are. What's your take on that change, and which do you prefer?
I've heard this debate time and time again. I don't think I want to go to the finer details of it, but I am not against the gold medal meet, to be honest. I think regionally and internationally, that's what it is, a gold medal meet. And I think it encourages our athletes to perform to the best of their ability because they want gold. And so it's really not bad. I think it's for us as the adults to not put the pressure, additional pressure on the children. And I think that is where it comes in. But for the most part, I support the gold medal. I'm not against it.
Okay, great. Now, I have been appealing to officials at the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Sports to form an athletic association here in Nevis. And as I sit here, the thought just came to me that you may very well be the perfect candidate to head up such an association, given your background and your experience and all. I would like to hear your thoughts on that.
You're giving me a lot more, duties. You're giving me a lot more.
I think as a past athlete and with your experience in the association and thing.
I grew up under the Nevis Athletic Association.
Okay,
under
better yet. Better yet.
It doesn't hurt, and I welcome the idea. The more that we could do, and to improve, the performance of our athletes. If we could come together and make it work, we come together and make it work. But I must say, having an association is a lot of work.
Of course.
So you need people on board who are willing to do the work.
Yes.
Otherwise, we would end up failing our athletes, and we don't want that. But farming, like I said, it's been there before.
Yes.
I know Mr. Blackett, you had Carl Claxton, you had Mr. Wakely Daniel, all of them were part of it.
Yep.
And I remember my days of traveling. I honestly believe I've traveled more than a lot of athletes now. That's how I feel.
Okay.
because we used to participate in a lot more meets. But if we are to follow through with something like this, we definitely have to work closely with SKN Athletics.
Yes, I know.
Because they are the recognized body. Because they're federal. It's both Think It's a Nevis. It's not a Think It's Association. It's Think It's a Nevis.
Yes. But see, my whole idea behind getting an association for Nevis, because it helps with athletics taking off here in Nevis. You need somebody to be really a body to go to when it comes to the Nevis end of athletics.
And then you could have training of your officials.
Right. Because
training for athletes as well.
Right. And with the Mundo truck, I mean, there's quite a lot that can be done now.
Yes.
In terms of managing not only the meets but vendors for the year, persons coming in to train.
So
there's a whole lot that can be done if with an association in place. And I have pushed Jamie Claxton. I mean, every time he comes me and him have it over years, and Zanella, my good friend Zanella in education.
Well, I have to tell Mr. Claxton when I leave, I said, Mr. Scarborough is giving us work to do.
Yes,
so we need to act.
And I am going to. I shall recommend you strongly. I tell you, the thought comes to me, and
I don't mind assisting. I'm not too sure about being the head of it, but I mean, it's worth a try.
Yes,
can't go wrong with helping.
We got to make a start at some point.
Yes.
Right, okay. Now, a number of persons are now volunteering and officiating when big meets are being held at the athletic stadium. Have you ever been approached by anyone to assist in any shape or form here in Nevis?
No.
You see,
not to officiate, but to be honest, I think it was last year, if memory serves. I think it was, it was a member in the sporting division who reached out to me and asked me to assist with logistics. So I do contribute, here and there. And now I'm making my contribution to just, coaching here and there.
Oh, you coach as well?
I used to coach with the Gladiators Track Club.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was a member of the Gladiators Track Club. So it's like Tiana Liebert, Aishanaya Sadler, Leroy Taji. I've worked with them.
I mean, I never knew that. I am glad that you were able to bring that forward. What would you like to see done to further improve our athletics here in Nevis? I mean, we're improving, yes, but what would you like to see done to further improve?
I think we need an intensive mentorship, recruitment, and training program for athletes. And I say that because training is important, and scholarship as well. Yes. I mean, not forget that scholarship. I think our athletes need training in terms of their body, understanding their body, understanding injuries. Because I think of myself, when I became injured, I didn't even fully understood what was happening to me. And shortly before I ran, I knew I was feeling pain, because a lot of athletes do this. They're in pain, but because we want to run, we take the chance to run, but we don't recognize that we're making the issue worse.
Yes.
So we need training for that, not just for the athletes, but for the coaches to understand, different type of injuries. How do you go about dealing with these injuries? Things of that nature. In terms of scholarship, what I find is that we have a lot of good athletes. We go up to secondary school, but the transition from secondary to university, that gap, we need to rectify that issue between that gap, especially for our females.
It is something that I raise with both Sanella and Jamie as well, because there's a missing link right there. We have good athletes in the primary, and then they get to the high school and you want to know what happens. I mean, we all know and Some say it's the parents to blame, and I'll tell you why they say that.
Why?
It is because the parents support the children all the way in primary, but then when they get to high school, they start thinking academics. You got to go on your list, you got to pass up, and then they push the
But it could be
the athletics
it's
aside.
a balance.
It has to be a balance.
It's a balance, and it can happen.
It has to be a balance. So.
We've done it, and I know the children, and actually it would help the children more.
Of course,
because
a fit
when
mind.
you exactly
a fit body and mind makes you do much better in your academics.
exactly. But I think sometimes too it's financing, and we need to find a way around that. It takes a lot of finance, and sometimes the athletes and their families, they don't have the necessary resources, and that is where the association and the government needs to come into play to assist our athletes. I know it's happening now because athletes have gone off, but we'd like to see more, because we've lost a lot of great athletes just at the secondary level.
Okay. Are you, by the way, connected in any way to any athletic club, physically, financially, or otherwise, as a past athlete?
I'm always a gladiator.
You're willing to help a gladiator?
I'm a gladiator.
Who is in charge of the gladiator club?
Wakely Daniel.
Oh, okay. Oh, he still has.
But we don't currently train athletes, but the club is still a registered club.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now I am happy to see the field events are now given some attention, because if we are to improve our showing, especially at the federal level, participating in the field events is critically important. Now, the CCM administration have invested heavily, as you alluded to earlier, not only in the development of the stadium, but in a number of track and field equipment. This has all led to the renewed interest that we are now seeing in our athletes. As an observer and a past athlete, I would like to hear your sentiments and my observation that field events is very important.
It is.
And are now becoming a major part.
I mean, and it's a great investment, providing equipment for field events. If our children have the resources, they're able to practice and enhance their performance. And so we know as coaches, we tend to stress on the sprinting, but long distance and field events, we can stress more on those, now that we have the necessary resources to do so.
Yes. Now, coming up in less than a week, and I left this time, is the big one. The ever popular inter-primary schools meet, more popularly known as the Mini Olympics. I know that you will be fully supporting your alma mater, the St. Thomas's Primary School. You have been a sponsor of that school, not only with the track and field events, but with the academic sponsorship as well. Tell us a little about your support for your alma mater over the years, not only in athletics, but...
Right now, everyone knows how I feel about St. Thomas's Primary School.
Yes.
I would give what I have to help the children and the principal and staff at that school. As a matter of fact, today I was at Mondo Track, Nevis Athletic Stadium with the school. I wasn't able to stay for an extended period of time today because I had a meeting, but I've been assisting the school, attending the training sessions with the children in preparation for inter-primary. But I am present at the St. Thomas's Primary School. I have donated schools and essential supplies. Like I said before, I sponsor Children for Lunch. I participate in programs, whether readathon, I give motivational speeches, and I've sponsored races for the school sports. And these are things that have been happening, a lot of them, since I left school, when I became an adult.
Yes.
And I've been working, I've been contributing to the St. Thomas's Primary School. I remember one time too, we organized a painting of the classrooms at the St. Thomas's.
I remember that good.
Yes, at the St. Thomas Primary School.
Now, I want to take you back to the inter-primary meet, because you, in your time, you used to run at inter-primary. But it is now being taken to a total different level in terms of I don't know if it's because the Mundo track is now there. You see, there was always competition at the inter-primary school level. But you're seeing, in my view, much a more competitive spirit coming from all the schools. All the schools. What do you attribute to that? I mean, what's your...
I think it's the children too. They want to do their best. But I think in terms of training, the coaches have up their game.
Yes.
The coaches, and what I find too, a lot of the coaches are past athletes now.
Yes.
And so they take the level of training seriously.
Right.
And we are now seeing the change, the enhanced performance of the athletes. So I think that is where it's coming from. We now have, I think, more track clubs on the island than before, if my memory serves me right. I think we have about 1, 2, 3, maybe 4. I think back in the day, in my time, I could only probably think of one. Everybody went to. I can't think of anything else. And then Titans came along. Now we have Over the Top. There is Royston Queely.
Yes.
And then you have the new club formed by Leroy Chapman and I think 2 other individuals. So coaches being past athlete, it really, you know what the sport is about. You know what you want of your children, and you push your children in training. You work hard, you reap your rewards, and that is what we're seeing today. And the track has definitely, like I mentioned before, has helped our athletes now would not have injuries. Well, as much injuries, because things do happen, but the impact on your joints and your muscles is not going to be the same as a grass track. And the track it's durable, weather friendly. Even if rain falls, you could still run, versus a grass track. Where now you're wondering if you could actually, sometimes you get water.
True.
And it creates a problem for your performance.
Yes. And another thing with the inter-primary competition that I'm seeing coming out is that the coaches are now competing against each other, you know.
But
the coaches
because all of them are once athletes, all Curvin, Sherman, you have Leroy, I think his schedule is with Leroy, all of them are past Royston, all of them are past athletes.
And in addition to that, the parents has always been in it, but there seems to be more involved, and the teachers and the various schools. And I'm seeing a real rise.
I love the spirit, to be honest. It makes it exciting. It is an event that everyone looks forward to attending. It, to me, Inter-Primary is like one of the biggest events.
It is.
Exactly.
It is the biggest event. Now, let me ask you this. I want to take you back to that connection between the primary school and the high school. How do you suggest we go about that? Because it's a real problem. In our time, the high school sports was the big sports.
Yeah.
That was the big sports. But now, the primary school level is the big sports, but we are not getting that transition. What do you think we need to do to get that thing?
I think it has to be training, but I also think it has to be support from home as well. As parents, we have to try and push our children. Those who are athletes, especially when you're a good athlete from primary school level, perhaps you're at a point where you feel a little tired and you're like, maybe I want to try something new, but it takes encouragement to keep them on that path of training.
Yep.
Remember, when you're in high school, training becomes more intense.
Yes.
At the primary level, it is, yes, there is competition, but it's more relaxed than when you enter high school.
Yes, it's true.
Considering the grades, the age and stuff like that. So it is really different. And I think sometimes athletes become, I guess, discouraged, and they need motivation. So it's for us now as coaches, executive members, to put in place the necessary programs that would help our young people to continue on that journey. Sports is hard work.
Of course it is.
It is hard
it's
work.
Physical and it's
Exactly.
constantly there. But let me take it from a government perspective. How do you think the government could further assist in that regard, that connection from the primary to the high school level? What else do you think government could do to help the situation? Yes, we know the parents has to understand there must be a balance, and you can't just drive the student into this academics. Drive them in academics, yes, but let it be balanced along with the athletic ability, because in the end it could be that athletic ability that propel that child forward down the road. That's the career, that path that the child wants to take, or whatever it is. But I feel, and this is my opinion, that there needs to be more done at the high school level. When I was going to high school, there was a games master. So that games master was responsible for us playing the little cricket, the football, and so forth. There's no games master presently.
I think the government can work with the various clubs.
The club section.
Yes. Well, you see, because the thing is too, a lot of our athletes are with clubs. So they can assist the clubs, and not only that, recruitment. The clubs can recruit athletes.
That's a good point.
To join their club, and that would make them want to continue. They're around other athletes. They become friends. It's like creating a home. It's about creating a family too. You study together if you're in the same farm. You go training together. And I remember that's how it was for us. It was a group of us. It was myself. I had Ariella Wilkinson. There was Nicola. And we used to train. And then we'd go home, and sometimes, we're on the phone and we're discussing work.
Okay. So your suggestion is that the government further assist the clubs.
Yes.
And by that, that way, the clubs will feel motivated to get even bigger,
it's
do a lot
doing
more.
That, and also, they have trainers, coaches in the schools already.
Yes.
But it's to ensure that the schools have the necessary resources, equipment,
right,
that would help, to further the advancement of our athletes. Training. Our athletes need training. They need motivation.
Yes. I agree with you.
They need, some of them, sorry not to cut you off, some of them need assistance. For example, it could be simple stuff like they don't have transportation to get home.
That is true too. You see why I think you're a good person to be the association president to start up this thing. You got all the right ideas. Now,
I try.
In terms of scholarships, you did mention it earlier, and it is very important because the top athletes that were able to get scholarships. We have a lot of scholarships now we are seeing coming from from friendly countries outside of Nevis, but they are more academical. Do you suggest that we make a better effort in reaching out for more athletic scholarships?
Yes, definitely. And that's what I said, providing scholarships for athletes. I know individuals like Maritza Williams and Maricia Pemberton. They work in assisting athletes to go off to school, which is quite impressive, and I must applaud them for that effort. Tiana Liebert, as you know, she's off in college, but we want more.
Yes.
We need to begin to contact colleges, universities, looking at the performance of the athletes, sending their information ahead. So by the time they're in 5th form, you already have an idea, you're already contacting the school. So by the time they're done, it's just out. Because the reality is, if you stay around for some time after that, life begins to happen.
Yes. Yes.
Life begins to happen.
So we need to put something in place to capture that student before we
Yes, because working and training, it's hard too.
Yes.
Especially if you're going to be working multiple jobs. It makes it difficult for you to perform, because in your mind it is survival versus I know, don't get me wrong, track and field, when you look at Usain Bolt and Veronica Campbell, they've done well. So they've made a living from it.
Right.
But you have to start
Right.
at the bottom. Now, when you come from a poor family and you don't have the resources, you did not get the opportunity, like we didn't put anything in place so you can transition and leave.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen? You stay here, you then now have to find a job, maybe multiple jobs, we don't know.
Yes. To support yourself.
Exactly.
Yes,
and then you get caught up with life.
Right.
And before you know it, your career in athletics is
Gone.
no more. It's gone.
That is true. So you're saying we need a better support structure coming from all angles. Parents,
It needs an extensive
school,
program.
government,
So
right.
we know, okay, we've touched base with these schools, these universities, they have athletic program. The child is in the fifth form. Yes, you have to send times, you have to send information. By time the child ends school, maybe fifth form, sixth form, if they want to go to sixth form, there's an opportunity for them to go. Whether through government assistance from their families, the associations. We just need to come up with an extensive plan, a plan.
Yes, as to how to go about it.
Exactly.
You're on the right path. How do we go about selecting that athlete though? Do we go with the top 3 places? I mean, because you have a lot of athletes. It's not everybody going to win. And then some persons are late bloomers. You know, you might find right down to age 12, these 5 people are running well. But this one who was coming forth, gone to high school, is now beating all of them.
It's true.
How do you identify? Go about identifying.
What you have to do is, once the athlete is serious about going forward, and sometimes I really can't even say that, because sometimes it's not that they're not serious, you just lack support.
Yes, well, you got to get the support structure in place. I totally agree with you. Should we attach the academics with the athleticism? What I mean by that is,
I think it should be a balance.
Yes.
I think it should be. The reason why I say both, especially if you get an assistance with athletics,
yes,
and you're able to study, take advantage of it, because things happen in life.
Yes.
Injuries happen.
Right.
At least if you do not reach where you wanted to, like use me as a perfect example. I really wanted to reach, my first goal was Carifta. The year I tore my hamstrings, I was devastated. Devastated. I went to Monroe College, and even at Monroe I tried to compete. It didn't work out, but at least if that side doesn't work out, you still
have the academic
side
yes,
fall on.
Yes.
You come back home, or you can stay abroad if you choose, overseas if you choose, but you come back home and you have a degree.
Yes.
You could work, you could provide for your family.
Right.
So I always believe that we should try and create a balance, whether it be skills training, some sort of certification, because remember, persons may be quite skillful.
Right.
They might be able to do, mechanics, different trade. But we could assist. It's just finding the school.
Right.
And even though somebody may not be top number 1, there might be a school who's willing to take the person depending on what their performance look like.
Yes.
As you say, athletes improve all the time.
All the time. Yes. Well, I am glad that I had you to discuss that part of it, because I've been trying my best to get, like I say, the sport department and the education department to look at it in a positive light, you know, and they do see what you're talking about, but to put it the way you have put it, you came up with the right solution. I'm telling you.
You want to give me
the right solution. No, that's what I'm thinking about. The balancing of the both, the athletics and the thing is very important.
It is.
But the support structure is needed, and that support structure has to come from the parents, the teachers, government,
the clubs,
right?
the
Clubs and support, right?
The
right.
general public as well.
We must start that effort to accomplish those goals. Now, I want to touch base on the Carifta Games. It is just around the corner, and we have at least 6 athletes, I heard, who will be taking part in those events. Do you know any of those athletes? Did you have any chance to meet them?
No, I didn't have a chance to meet with them.
But do you know any of them?
Not those that I've seen.
Okay. You need to reach out to them and, as a past athlete, and, you know, try and motivate them as a young leader with all the ideas and so forth.
We all need the support. They need the support.
Yes. So. Have you ever attended a Carifta game?
No.
Never.
I told you I was devastated. The year when I thought I was going to make the Carifta team was the year I tore my 2 hamstrings.
Oh boy.
Up to this day, I don't understand how.
Things happen.
Exactly.
But as a supporter, have you ever gone to a game?
But I do. I want to in the future.
Well, this is the perfect time. This one coming up is the perfect
This one
time.
is very, very close. It's
very,
in
very
April,
close.
19th to the 21st in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes.
It's too close, but maybe next year I can aim.
Well, next year I'm hoping that you're the president traveling along with the team in an official role, not just a very supporting role, because I believe you have what it takes to contribute a lot.
A member of SKN Athletics would travel with the team on that level.
Currently we have somebody in the Athletic Association. I think the guy from Brownhill, I think he's the vice president. Dwayne,
yes.
Is there any other person on it? I don't know of any other person who's on it.
Maritza is still there.
Oh, Maritza.
Maritza is still around.
She's part of the association.
Yes.
And that election comes up, every 2 years or something like that?
I think it's every 2 years.
Every 2 years? Well, I'm hoping that
I can't even remember. I don't even know.
I think it's every 2 years. I think it's every 2 years. Let's hope next time
I was a member in 2017. I do so much.
I know.
That
I'm trying to get you to do a little more.
So many things, but
trying to get you to do a little more. This one little step.
You want to give me additional.
I believe you have the potential.
I'm the person once given tasks, I perform to the best of my ability. And sometimes when approached, if I decline, persons may feel some way about it. But my thing is, if I know I cannot give something my all, I don't want to get into it.
I hear you.
Because I don't want to disappoint anyone, and I don't want to disappoint myself.
Okay.
But I can offer assistance, and I think we could make it. We do have a lot of people here. We could make it happen with.
Yes. But you need.
So you're coming on too?
I volunteered my services because
you did. So then we need to have a conversation.
We will have a conversation because I think it needs to be done. It needs to be done. I would like to really get it started.
And we can work
and then I could easily back out
and ensure that we do what we have to do for the betterment of sports in Nevis.
Right. That's a good note to end it on. Honorable, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us this evening. I know it was your first time, but it was a pleasure having a discussion with you. Your final words for our listening and viewing audience.
It was a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I am happy to have taken this opportunity. I have not been on radio for a very long time, but I do want to take this opportunity to congratulate the qualifiers for Carifta and to extend best wishes to them at the Carifta Games, the upcoming Carifta Games in April. And I also want to use the opportunity to encourage our youth, our young athletes, and youth in general to keep pushing. Keep doing what you have to do to make life better for yourselves and for your family. To the women, keep celebrating each other, keep being strong. We had a good workshop yesterday, and I'm looking forward to many more workshops with our women, our youth, and like I said, our men. We can't leave our men out. They too, you too, are important.
Yes.
I want to thank everyone who tuned in to listen to me tonight, and I wish everyone a good night. I also want to say good night to the people of St. Thomas Parish. I think I forgot. I wanted to mention two things now that I'm on it, and I hope that is okay. St. Thomas Parish, shortly we will be painting the speed bumps in Barnscott, Jessops and Cahoon's area. We recognize that the paint has faded, and so we want to ensure that they are painted. So just in case you're on the road and you see those red cones, please drive slowly, but we should be doing that shortly. Also, a resume writing and interview skills training workshop will be coming for the residents of St. Thomas's Parish. So I just wanted to plug that in at the end, and I will continue to visit. I will continue to hear your issues and concerns, as well as other communities in Nevis, but especially those from St. Thomas's. Thank you for having me, Mr. Scarborough, and I do look forward to my next interview.
I certainly look forward to having you again as well. Folks, you have come to the end of another edition of our Government at Work program. Join us again next week when we shall do it all over again. Do enjoy the rest of the evening's programming and have a pleasant night's rest. Good night.